Nicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black is time. I got my guy DJ Shadow in the building as usual. What's good, Shadow?
We all aboard. Just just trying to keep it cool in the snow in New York City right now.
Yeah, I heard you. I heard you got hit.
Yeah, almost 2 feet of snow. So it's crazy.
Yeah, this one of the few times that upstate New York didn't get hit with the snow when the city did. So
Well, thankfully the Knicks.
I'm glad I ain't gotta do no shoveling, but
Forget
I'm
about
sure I'm
that.
gonna get hit with another one.
Thankfully the Knicks are on the road though, and we're able to get it popping with
No doubt, no doubt. I've been on a little hiatus. I haven't, you know, been on since we got smacked by Detroit coming off the All-Star break. Um, I miss Sim been on the road, so he ain't do no post game shows in the last two wins. So we gonna talk about it right now for sure. Um, let's start with Houston. You know what I mean? Had to face another Thompson twin right off the back.
that's
Difficult
crazy.
I know Brunson was like seeing double. He was having flashbacks of the previous game because that man, what I mean, them guys know how to guard, and it was a tough outing. Um, yeah, it's a tough outing. And Shuttle, I got the two streams going. So I got the vertical stream and the regular stream. So what I mean, if you're on your phone, you might be a little bit more comfortable on the vertical joint. So that's why you got the two streams going. But
Oh no, I
I
was
got
looking on
Friday
my
out.
I'm looking on my laptop.
Mm. Well, I think you still got to choose the one you wanna watch it, the way you want to watch it.
Oh, okay,
If
I
I'm
got
if I'm correct. Who we got in the building? Jarrell, salute my guy. Appreciate you always chopping it in, checking in and chopping it up. Says salute fam. I just I just got done shoveling. I'm calling out of work tomorrow. Damn, is that bad?
you. Yo, told you, fam. Like it's literally close to 2 feet of snow.
Mm. Well,
Yeah.
I know y'all probably. I mean, I know there's areas that they ain't recovered from the previous snowstorm.
No,
You know what I
literally,
mean?
that's what
And I know
everybody's
that was
saying.
bad.
Everybody's saying like, yo, I just started being able to see the grass. You know what I mean? Like I just started seeing the grass. The snow just got out of my parking area by my house, and now it's like, oh, another 19 inches of snow.
Hey, I'm used to it upstate, man. So you know what I mean? Like
You immune?
I,
You
I,
immune?
I know how to maneuver through it. I don't call out. I get mad at the people that call out. You know what I mean? Like, come on, we upstate. You should know what it is up here. You should be prepared. You should have your all-wheel drive vehicles. You know what I mean? all, all that. Pardon me. Scam likely.
Nah, that's one of the best things they ever invented.
I ain't gonna front. That's a fact.
Scam
That's a
likely?
fact.
Nah, we ain't talking to you. That's like Danny Ainge just calling for a trade. Scam
And
likely. Scam
uh,
likely.
again, shout out to the chat. Allentown. It wasn't too bad. Rochester, New York. You know what I mean? Shout out to Just Knicks. You know, no, you out there close to Sim. You know what I mean? Oh, shout out to Sim, by the way. But yeah, let's talk about it, man. Let's break it down. Two gritty wins back to back. You know what I mean? Coming off the belt to ass that Detroit put on us. What'd you see in that Houston game? You know what I mean? It was a rough outing. You see the three guys highlighted on the Grand Theft Auto cover. You know what I mean? It's Grand Theft Auto Gritty City. That's what we that's what we calling it. But yeah, man, gritty win. Alvarado came in, got his steals. I know you got a lot to say about Alvarado. Um, but me, I wanna start with Cat. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Cat has been on a tear. I'm not gonna say a tear, but he got his mind clear. It feels like once that initial Giannis report of him staying pat, I think something switched to Cat right from that moment, and I said it, 2 games after, and I'm standing on it. I think he's been on about a 10 game stretch where he's just finding ways to contribute. Early in that stretch, he wasn't really shooting the ball well or having great um offensive impact, but his defense was turning around. Like, and we was talking about that for a stretch where, all right, the fouls are cutting down. You know what I mean? We down to maybe like one offensive foul a game instead of 3 and 4. Um, but he's been finding a way to win, and then gradually during this 10 game stretch, the offense has been clicking. He's back to, I think he's on a stretch of like 5 games, 6 games with 20 points, um, or more. Where you look at Towns, you like he should be, you know what I mean? That should be normal situation. So I think he's finding himself. I think it's evident that he does want to be here, and I think those trade rumors, speculations, whatever truth to them there were, I think it was affecting him. But I think now he's ready for the home stretch. You know what I mean? Or people were saying we were in the dog days. We calling it the cat nights. You know what I mean? It's the opposite of the dog days now. Shout out to the gentleman in the chat who said that when I asked what's the opposite of dog days? Cat nights, and that's where we at. You know what I mean? But yeah, what you see in that game in particular, and if you want to talk about this stretch that Cat has been on, if you've noticed it, what have you seen?
Well, I'll tell you what. What the numbers say. Last 10 games, he's played 9. He missed that one game after the eye injury, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So he's averaging 30 minutes, 53.6% from the field, 39% from three, 85 from the line, 11.6 boards, 2.7 assists, 1.2 steals, and 20 points a game. Very good numbers.
The glaring one is that 39% from three, because I think on a year, I think he was like 34,
30.
35,
Well, this season he's 36.5 currently.
which obviously
With
went up,
right.
shooting 5 for 9 that last game. You know what I mean? So um yeah, I think that's the most glaring number in that stretch, right? Rising that 3 point percentage up to his average, his career average, which a lot of people been down on him. But you talk about a center shooting 35%, and they're like, "Oh, it's a down year. It's his worst year ever." That just
Imagine
goes to
that.
show who he is and what he's capable of.
Yeah, it's interesting. I watched the post game last night, and Wally absolutely made a great point. With this team, him being able to be a threat from the outside opens the lane for Brunson to drive, opens the lane for Bridges to cut and OG to cut, and he is a good passer in addition. And if you're playing a team that has a decent big man, I know it's not a lot of big men out there, but if anybody is a shot blocker, especially against these Knicks players that don't really just go straight up, having a big man come out of the paint, making it a little easier for them to get those shots is an asset. So we actually need him to be a threat from three. And you brought up Giannis, and don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying Giannis is not a great player, and I would be happy to have him. But if you lose Towns and then you bring Giannis in, him not being a threat from the outside doesn't help Brunson. And if you got to give up Towns and also give up one of your wings, that's just why I wasn't really that was why I wasn't on board with the trade, because I don't, if y'all think Brunson and Towns is not a good fit, man, I think Brunson and Giannis would easily be a worse fit. So happy to see him. Happy to see him. Turn it up. I noticed last night. I ain't gonna say he didn't complain at all, but it felt like they were fouling him all game. And I'm sorry for y'all that are like, yo, he need to stop complaining. Yo, Because if this was back in the day, if this was like Moses Malone, Shaq, Patrick Ewing, shot the far Rockaway. They actually had, but they said about 11,000 people that had lost power. About
Mm,
8,000 regained it, and they put up some shelters and stuff at the high schools, things like that. So
mm.
shot the far Rockaway. Hopefully everything is
Yeah,
better out there.
prayers out, and for sure too.
So that's the thing, right? If this was Moses Malone, Patrick Ewing, Shaq, you know what I mean? Like all of this fouls and not being called, somebody will be getting something very, very serious. So it's a new day, it's a new time. The players are different, the league is managed differently, the fines and suspensions are a lot more. So I mean, at this point, other than doing that, there's not really anything else he could do. So, like, just play through it. Don't complain while he's getting hacked all game. And on the other side of the rock, they call some very ticky tack fouls on him, considering
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
much he gets fouled. So, but I did notice last night there were a couple of times he was fouled. He didn't complain. He did his best to hustle back on defense. When he don't got the ball, he got big feet. He's a little lumpy. He's a little slow. It just is what it is. So, hopefully he can continue to battle through the fouls. Hopefully, when the playoffs come, they're not as quick on the whistle on him on defense, and if they are, they're equally as quick on offense. That's all I can ask for. But he just got to continue to play hard, look for his shot, and not want the team to be so great that he doesn't realize him being great is gonna help make the team great.
100%.
You know
And shout out to Shaq who interviewed him after one of the two games.
that was the last
And,
game.
okay, and basically have the same sentiments. You know what I mean? They need you to be great to succeed, and I think that's one of the truest statements that's was out there. Cat tried to play it and say all the right stuff is the team success, and I don't care about credit and everything else. But to hear it and to hear it from a true superstar, shout out to Jersey, another fellow Jersey representative for Cat. You know what I mean? I'm sure it meant a lot, and I think he needs these type of encouraging words, considering you know what I mean. He Let's keep it 100. He's been getting the Randall treatment, since he arrived, right? Like he just took up that mantle of whether you want to call it scapegoat or
Whipping
the
boy.
whipping boy. You know what I mean? However you want to phrase it, he's definitely had to deal with that as well. You know what I mean? The brunt of that at that. You know what I mean? We're gonna talk about later, but guys like Mikal Bridges should really be, you know, sh- praising Cat for his, because he's shielding him, I believe, from a lot of bullets that aren't going his way, because the focal point of everyone's disdain has been Cat. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna talk about it at the end of this show, where I think the next evolution on things that need to occur for us to reach our true peak is that. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think you're spot on. He's been getting mauled all year long. The only point I will disagree with is, you know what I mean, the arguing and the complaining. It just doesn't. There's no benefit to it. You know what I mean? Like, so that does have to stop, and you got to figure out another method. You know what I mean? Wait till the timeout and go talk to them, you know what I mean? And Randall had to figure this out too. You know what I mean? But when you're arguing, to your point, what you said, when you're arguing with the refs, now that whistle on the other side is gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be a little bit more detrimental. Like, now you getting a bad call on one end, and then a ticky tack call on the other. So, you,
What I would like to see. and what we've seen with other teams, including the Detroit Pistons. I don't know if you remember this, like maybe like 2 years ago, when the calls were being made so obvious and so egregious against them. The coach was like, "Yo, this has got to stop. Like we're a professional team too. Yo, like where's Mike Brown at? Where's your coach at defending you in the public the way he's stroking Brunson for MVP? Well, how about some love for your center that's getting shellacked all game every game? Like how about you take a fine for going overboard so he can feel like somebody's defending him and he don't got to do it himself?
I agree 100%.
Where's the coach at?
100%.
Too busy skinning and grinning with everybody to do something like that. Yeah, this guy, this
Um,
guy, this guy skin and grin with anybody. But that's another story.
a couple of things I've noticed, especially in these last two games. Hey, look, shout out to Nostalgic Nick. I wouldn't have been as aggressive in my in my analysis of it, but he said JB finally passing it to Cat in the paint. It took 2 years. Um, I think there has been a conscious effort, right, in finding Cat in these last two games in particular. Um, and again, we've talked about this throughout the year, and we talked about it last year to Nostalgic Nick's point, where we asked these questions like, is it on Cat? Is it on Brunson? Is it on the coach to find ways to feature him, find ways to kind of get him going, whether it's plays, seeking mismatches, all those things, they have to be figured out. They have to be included. If you listen to big men talk, Perkins or just any big man in the media after their career is done or during their career, you always hear that talk of feed the big man, keep the big man happy. You know what I mean? Like these guys don't necessarily have the ball in their hand to make the decisions, not possession after possession. And Cat has the skill set where you can put it in his hand. And now, one of the questions is his decision making at times. But when you talk about skill set, as far as like passing the ball, finding cutters, 3-point shot, like he has that skill set to where you gotta utilize it, you gotta maximize it for us to be at our best. So I think there's been a conscious effort in these last two games to kind of find them in different spots, post ups, mismatches, because obviously the game plan has been put a smaller guy on him. You got to punish that. You know what I mean? You got to find ways to punish that so you can neutralize that strategy or take advantage of it in opportune times. You know what I mean? So I think there's been a conscious effort in that. I just love his energy in these last two games. He seems like he don't have that lingering whatever it was in the back of his mind. I'm gonna blame it on the trade deadline and the trade situation, but he just seems like this is the most comfortable he's been this year. So we need that moving forward. It took more than half the season, but I'm glad we are here now with that. Anything you want to add about Cat? Pardon me while I mute myself and get rid of my cat.
Yeah, I'll point out comment from Fred Wong 6087. Jose Alvarado came in and has actually been talking to Cat like a leader, like a point guard talks to a big man out there on the court. He's actually been looking for Cat out there. You know what I mean? And Jose is not like, even though he can go nut from time to time, overall he's not a Jalen Brunson type quote unquote point guard. He is definitely a guy that's gonna look for the big men. He's a guy that's gonna try to get you the ball where you like to get it and score. It was even conversation first game. Yo, Brunson, where you like the ball? He said, yo, just play, just But he's asking though, and that's the difference. Brunson's telling you just play, which is probably what he's telling Cat and what he's telling everybody else. And Cat is, unlike most players, a more coachable, communicate, let's get on the same page type of person, so he knows what to do, what to expect. I mean, this is a guy that was a number one pick. Respectfully, Brunson, I know you're doing your numbers now, but Cat been a top dog. You know what I'm saying? He been a top dog. He came out highly regarded out of high school, one of the top two, one of the top players, piece of law. And he comes in from high school, one of the top players. He's plays 1 year, one of the most dominating players, is the number one pick. Got all these all-star games, been scoring 20, dropping 10 boards every year. So, he's used to being the center of the team. So yeah, you should be communicating with him where he wants the ball, how he likes it, where he don't like it. You know what I mean? Not like, just because you score with the ball, you don't gotta have a conversation with him. you know? So shout to Alvarado though for coming in making a difference. And um we talked about it, Tony. And even though he was injured and he couldn't be traded, most likely because of that. Maybe they didn't want to trade him, but this is what I was saying. If you get Alvarado, you got a better point guard. Kohler could be the third. You already got Shamit, and if it takes trading Deuce to make that deal happen, I was trying to get Alvarado and Sadiq Bey and the big man. So if it would have took trading Deuce, this is why I wouldn't have had an issue, because I mean, truthfully, when you watch the team playing right now, you don't feel like you're missing Deuce. Respectfully.
I, I knew this. I knew this was coming. That's why. That's why I start. That's why I started laughing. But what, what I say about Alvarado, actually, let me do this super chat real quick, and then um my guy JB, appreciate you for the super chat. He says some Knicks fans will never be satisfied. Mikel was the target last year, and now this year it's Cat. Mind you, with 37 and 21, third in offense, 10th in defense. I agree with your sentiment. Some Knicks fans will never be satisfied. Um,
But I
I
want
think
to I
that
want to ask him a
there'll be a
question.
small section of Knicks fans that will complain after the championship. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, yo, why it took
we
so
won
long?
the chip, but we had to win. We had to win it in 7 games. We couldn't win it in 5. But I do want to ask Jason a question, because I think it's a very fair question. Do you Has the team met your not Cat, not specifically Cat, right? But has the team met your expectations thus far? Are you happy that the team, as I go to the standings to reaffirm, are you happy with the fact that the Knicks are second in the division to the Boston Celtics, who were predicted to be a playing team, and a team that's 6.5 back behind the Detroit Pistons, who you beat in the first round, and that you have 37 wins, and basically you're on pace for the same amount of wins as last year, even though you lost Brunson for 14 games at the end of the season last year. And had that not happened, you probably at 55, 66, 56 wins. And even if you only made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you had more wins than you're on pace for currently. So, me personally, I was looking at a number one seed. I was definitely not looking at being behind the Boston Celtics. I can't let that one go. I can't let that go.
I mean, I agree as far as what I expected and where we are. I don't think I don't think we are where I expected us to be. Um, where we are is not like, if we're talking about levels. I'm not at a disappointed level. You know what I mean? Maybe right where we are, I'm like, I understand it. I'm satisfied. Looking at how things transpired, and like I said, Cat, how he started the year to where he is now progressively. Even the team's defense, where it started the year and where it is progressively now. You know what I mean? We it's another team under 100 points in the Bulls, right? Or 108 for Houston. Well, I mean, I guess that's normal. I don't know what they average, but they're not an offensive team. But the defense over this stretch as well, you know what I mean, has been, I'm gonna say, top tier. We're up in he said we're the 10th defense right now. You know what I mean? That's a far cry for where we started. So when I look at the progression of where we are, I'm okay with where we are. I'm like I'm not disappointed. You know what I mean? When I look at that stretch, you know what I mean? That's where I was disappointed. That 8 game
Two,
losing
two,
streak,
two and
you know what I
nine,
mean?
2 and 9
9
streak.
game streak. Like that's where the disappointment has set in. But when you look at the totality of the season and where we are, you know what I mean? And you look at that stretch and you be like, man, that stretch kind of, we survived that stretch. You know what I mean? We bounced back, and we bounced back in a way, like we cleaned up things that were bothering us even when we were winning. You know what I mean? Like, so that defense, where we are defensively, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we got to continue. Again, finding how to utilize Cat, which I don't think we've been underutilizing him, and finding ways to do that. That's something we've been missing, and it's progressing now. That grit, right? We added the Jose Alvarado. That's where I was, so that's where I'm gonna continue, right? Alvarado's presence, the impact is undeniable. You know what I mean? Like, he's had 2 good games, or two, I'll say 2 great games, honestly, and two, one bad game and a decent game. You know what I mean? But those 2 games that I consider great, it's because of the impact he made. You know what I mean? Um, Chicago, pardon me, the Houston game, the steal on Durant in that fourth quarter, the signature steal on Durant. You know what I mean? It was to the point where I had to watch it twice because I didn't see where he came from the first time. I'm like, yo, like, oh snap. You know what I mean? Like, where'd he come from? I had to rewind it a little bit. Like, so if I'm looking at it from a court's, you know what I mean, a court's view, Durant didn't see him. You know what I mean? Like, came, took his cookies,
Yeah,
tough layup on a break after that. You know what I mean? Like, that was
and then I
impactful.
believe he got a steal on the next possession right after that.
I don't know if I'm not sure if it was the very next possession, but I know he had no. You are right, because he had 3 steals in the fourth. I don't remember the next
He
possession
was
still,
he
but
was
I
he
remember
was
the last one
he
because that
got
was
the
the
steal. He
closeout.
was falling out of bounds, made the steal and the pass,
Passed it to Brunson. Yep,
which led to the
yep,
break. I think Shaman hit a three.
yep.
So, like, yo, his grit. First of all, the grit where he stepped to the player, that's a whole different level
Hmm.
of grit that nobody on this team have been showing, this season. That type of attitude to even think that they would do something like that. And then you actually add the real life, real game ability to impact it with 5 steals in the game. Yo, how do you get 5 steals in the game? Twice. How do you get five? How do you get 5 steals in the game? How do you get 5 steals in the game? Like, all the years I played, as many steals as I got, I never got 5 steals in the game.
And I mean, let's keep it a buck, right? 2 defensive player of the games in what's he played, 5 games for us?
Yeah, 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Like, come on, man. Like, it's you can't deny the impact that he's making.
He,
I do
he's,
want to tell you,
he's,
there's
he's
people
the
in the
reason they
chat
won that
in the
game.
chat that do miss Deuce. They want you to know that, because they
I'm just saying, like,
I see it a couple.
hey, I'm just saying, y'all
Otherwise,
see what Shaman's doing out there. You might miss him. You might miss him in the heart. You might miss him in the heart. Don't get me wrong. Like, Deuce is my guy. Like, I like Deuce. I was supporting Deuce from the whole time when he was going to the G League and getting play, not getting play. You know, when it was quickly time to leave, I was on board with Deuce taking the role and filling the slot. Like so, you know, I don't got no problems with Deuce. I like Deuce. There's nothing to not like about Deuce. You know what I mean?
Here's what I say. I think you've always emphasized that Deuce is not a point guard, right? And you know, I agree with that. I think he's had to play point by default for times. One of the attributes or one of the things that I thought that made him valuable was the fact that you know he can play point guard. You know what I mean? He can play two. He can guard ones. He can guard like he's multi positional because of the fact that he can guard up and guard down. Um, but to your point, which I wasn't aware of, and I could acknowledge because I wasn't sure what we were really getting from Alvarado. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't the highest on his. You know what I mean? Bringing him in just because I didn't know if he was going to be a long term. Like I didn't know if the highlights that we've seen over the years, because that's what I know from him highlights. I didn't know if that was going to be like a consistent basis. This is who he is, or it was like, all right, when he's on, this is what he does. But no, and he's a true point guard. Like I didn't know that about him. Like he facilitates the ball. Shout out to who mentioned it earlier, but him finding Cat on pick and rolls, which you know has been another missing element for this team. That that
Found
he's
found Huck
that
40
he's
on a nice one last
yeah,
yesterday.
yeah.
Ooh,
Um,
yo, that's
and,
yours.
and that's how you know it's a point guard because he let Haporti wasn't going for that. You know what I
Nah.
mean?
Yo, here,
He
that's yours.
let
Get
him.
that. Go get
Yeah,
that. Yo, my man. My man.
that's a
My
true
man.
point guard when you are leading the person into the basket. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't there. You know what I mean? It wasn't a set play or any. No, I'm gonna
Go get
throw
that.
this.
Go
I'm gonna
get
throw.
that.
Yes, go get it.
Go get that.
So yeah, man. I can't. I knew he was gonna be a fan favorite no matter what. I knew that just off the energy, just off of the things that I didn't know he could bring. But nah, this he a good player. Like I didn't know he was this good. I didn't. So shout out to him, man, and impacting winning. You know what I mean? Like,
He's the reason why the Knicks won that Houston game.
yeah, 100%. We don't win that game without him down the stretch. You know what I mean? Without him in the fourth quarter, we do not win that game. Um, and it was a collective because everybody in that fourth quarter kind of impacted the game. You know what I mean? Brunson was having a horrible game. Like I said, it looked like he was having flashbacks of the Detroit game. Like, all game. Like he
Thompson
could not.
migraine. He got a
Yeah,
Thompson
yeah. Like
migraine.
so. Yeah, and then you know, Cat coming on strong in that fourth. I mean, he had a good game all around, but coming on strong in that fourth as well. Brunson cleaning things up in that fourth as well. But yeah, we don't win that game without Alvarado's impact at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, JB again, he said, I'm a fan who's enjoying the ride, the highs and the lows. That's why I never got into the championship or bust narrative. I remember the Fizdale days. You know what? That was my whole motto last year, right? Enjoy the ride, enjoy the ride. Um,
You told me that this year.
I I did. It's been tough. Like that ride got bumpy as hell in that 9 game losing streak. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah,
flat
yeah.
tire. You know what I mean? We just had to change the tires. Call
Nah,
triple A.
for Jason giving us a reality check. You gotta
100%.
remember
And he's been consistent all year. I appreciate that because, you know,
he's been saying that all year.
oh yeah, he's been
Right.
consistent. You know what I mean? My channel, Sim's channel, you know, whenever it's crash out mode, he's always there to kind of temper the feelings. Um, but I appreciate that because you know I try to live by that enjoy the ride motto.
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing good for a while into that stretch.
Yo,
So
listen.
I agree,
Oh,
man.
I'm
You got
happy
to
that.
enjoy the ride. I can't forget the Fizdale days at all.
Mm,
That's the origin of Knicks and Bruises. The Fizdale days, the Phil Jackson days. You know what I mean?
oh, Lord.
Like that was the low of the lows for me as a Knicks fan. And
You
glad
know,
I found the YouTube community to kind of you know me. We going through this together, guys. You know what I
it's
mean?
not. It wasn't just you.
Word.
You know.
Appreciate you, JB.
I'm. I gotta say, I'm very happy to have a team that is competent and in the race every year. Because the fact is, you can't win it if you ain't in it. So, if I got a team that's uh, a likely top two, top three, top four team, I'll take that. I'll absolutely take that every year because you never know how it's going to play out. Yeah, but to Vaughn's point, right? Like you ain't to Vaughn's point and to French Montana's point. You know what I mean? We ain't come this far just to come this far. You understand? So for me, right, one thing I love is stability when it comes to organizations. The Spurs were so consistent. You got consistency with players, you got consistency with management, you got consistency with the coach. Same thing with Boston. Their changes have been very strategic. The Ime Udoka thing, that kind of came out of nowhere, and they made their change because they had to, but they had stable leadership. They had stable players that had been there. You know what I mean? They had veteran players that had been there, which is why they were able to get through it. And they pulled up a guy that was already part of the system and brought him up. And I think that's part of some of the hostility, the toxicity right now with the fans is like we've had turnover of players. Now you give us a turnover of a coach. We're just in the Eastern Conference Finals. Tatum's out, Halliburton's out. Everybody's like, "Yo, this is it." And then to watch the Detroit Pistons just leap over you to be the number one seed and then spank you three times this year, you know, like it's like, yo, like, are we really this good? Are we really gonna do it? You know what I mean? And I understand why there's some challenge in enjoying the ride.
Yeah. I mean, but when you look at it, when you take your fandom out of it, right, and you look at, I'm talking about Detroit in particular, and you look at the series of last year, and how tight it was, game in and game out in that series. It's not that
That,
fathomable
that
to
far
see the
off.
leap that you know what I mean, the leap that they've taken. And then you talk about what you said. It's not like the Knicks came in and said, "All right, we're building off last year." They had to do a little bit of destroying and rebuild, right? And the removal of Tibbs, and you know what I mean. So now that becomes a new adjustment, right? It's not just a continuation of the path that we was on, and let's keep building, keep growing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you gotta take a step back to move forward, and I think that's what it was. And this is not me saying they can't win or won't win. You know what I mean? Maybe that whole process is during this regular season. I would imagine that's what the front office assumed, that you know what I mean.
Well,
We got to take a step back to move forward, but we'll do it within the season. I
no,
got a super chat, but I
chill.
want to say
They
something else.
wasn't
Go ahead.
they wasn't saying it was a step back. I got it. You got to relax. I don't think they.
No, no, no.
I don't think they said we gonna take a step back. But we need a new coach so we can take a step back to go ahead. I think they're like, yo, we hired a new coach to get to the next level now.
No, I understand that, but you have to know that it's not going to be smooth sailing when you take a when you remove a coach and put a new one in, even if the expectations are higher, you got to know there's going to be bumps in the road or hurdles that you have to get through before you get to the peak. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
I don't mean to step back positioning wise and seating wise in expectation wise. I don't mean to step back in any of that. I'm just saying I'm talking about the ride. There's gonna be some bumps and bruises.
Some
um,
Nixon, some Nixon brews.
nicks and bruises.
Fact.
Um, you made a good point about the stability of organizations. Pardon me, 1 second. And you talked about like the Spurs organization. I just wanted to throw a couple of organizations in that mix. Um, Miami, there's an argument that you got to throw them in there. The whole heat culture thing. Obviously, they got two chips in that, or a few chips in that. Um, a lot of people don't give Utah their credit. Um, Obviously not currently constructed, but if you look at the longevity of their success going back to Malone and Stockton to bridging that gaps era with was it
Deron Williams.
Deron Williams and Boozer, right? You know what I
Indeed.
mean? Like and like granted, they never won in that stretch, and that's probably the biggest, you know what I mean? That's the only thing that you but as far as like organization and culture and just learning or knowing how to be successful, stay successful. And you gotta give Utah their credit for a long, long time that they was able to, you know what I mean? They just never got over the hump. But I just want to throw them in there.
Facts.
Walter White, appreciate the super chat. This is a good one. He says, "Is Brown helping or is Brown helping or hurting by the collaboration technique? Being swift and changeable may help when it matters, but I think that's one of the things that obviously that's what the front office wanted, right? That's one of the back to the whole tips thing. That was one of the knocks on him. I mean, specifically, they put that in one of their statements. His lack of collaboration and no longer wanting to. I forgot how they termed it, but they used that word again. The margins, not willing to maneuver in the margins. Um, was one of the specific things that they wanted in their next coach and his successor. Um, but as far as does it help or hurt, I, I guess the honest answer would be is yet to be determined. Right? We shall see. Because I mean that's one of the things riding on this championship now, or this the success of this team. Um, yeah, I, I had questions about it from the beginning because I think when you do bring a coach in, you want that coach for his philosophy, his beliefs, right? If you're able to kind of change a coach's mind in his decision making, you know what I mean? I guess there's a middle ground, right? You got to be flexible, but I respect the guy who this is my philosophy. This is what I built my career off of. I want to do it my way. So if I lose, I lost my way. You know what I mean? Go back to the Phil Jackson days with him hiring coaches with the caveat that you have to run the triangle and you have to do. To me, that was a failure from the beginning. But was that a collaboration? You know what I mean? Or was that like a dictatorship? So I guess that, like I said, if there's a middle ground, yes, it could work. If everybody on the staff is saying one thing and you're the coach and you saying, nah, I'm still going with, I think you do have to listen to your staff. You do have to kind of take everything into consideration. You can't be 100% stubborn, but you can't be a walkover coach either. Or like some people claim Mike Brown is. This is not my claim. but they call him the lame duck coach. You know what I mean? So I hope it's not that. If you collaborating too much, you know what I mean. What are you implementing? What is your stance? What is your philosophy? Um, so I guess my answer would be it's yet to be determined. We shall see. But I get the arguments for both the collaboration and that particular coach's philosophy. What's your thoughts on that, Shuttle?
Man, since analytics took over sports, I just, I'm old school. You know what I mean? The coach, the coach has a read on, should have a read on the pulse of the player, how they're performing. And even though, let's just say, teams that are more aggressive and play, harder defense, typically your player doesn't score as well against, but he's having a hot streak recently. You talking to him personally, he's feeling better about himself because things are going great in his family life. You know what I'm saying? There's all kind of factors that could be impacting the success of a player. So, you know, to me, the numbers just don't tell everything and can't be the final decision. And as a coach, this is what separates you from just anybody being able to do it. Anybody can have the songs, but they're not going to be DJ Shuttle. Hello, I mean, you can have the same exact songs. I give you the same 20 songs as me, and we're not going to play in the same. They're not going to have the same impact.
Delivery means something, right?
Yeah,
Energy means something.
right. So, I mean, for the purposes of him keeping his job and making the powers that be happy, collaborating is probably helping him because essentially he doesn't really have to take any responsibility. Hey, I'm just out here,
Doing what you
guys.
asked.
I'm just out here, guys, doing what y'all want to do. So, listen, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be collaboration, and I'm not saying that it's not something that you don't want to incorporate your coaches, right? But do it when you feel like that you absolutely need to do it, right? Like just giving somebody a clipboard, letting them call a play because you want to empower them and for the sake of get out of here, out of here, out of here with that. Like I'm not a fan of it. You do it because you have a defensive coach and you want the defensive coach to put the strategy on because that's your coaching
You believe it.
style. That's your coaching style. You believe in the coach, and you wanna let them decide it, and you're happy with taking the ownership with however it goes. Cool, but hire a coach that tells you that that's his style and that's how he's going to do it, versus hiring a coach and telling them that this is the way you're gonna coach. That's just how I feel. Just my thoughts. Um, it has to be a balance though, no matter what.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, and to that point, I think, I hope, because I don't know, but I hope there is a balance in the approach. If there's a balance in the approach, then yes, I think it can be helpful, and will be helpful. If it's my way on the highway or on any side, from any side, it can be detrimental. So, but we shall see. Oh, JB again, appreciate the super chat. He says, I don't care about seeding outside the top four. Detroit playing well, but I still don't see them beating us 4 out of 7 games. Still got my money on our boys. Um, yeah, I still think we can beat them. I still think we should beat them. If the things that are developing currently from this team, the inclusion of Cat, right, which I think is so important. Um, Continuing to improve our defense overall and situational, coming up with the big stops. You know, those Alvarado plays, those, and let's not act like we haven't seen. Even Mikel is capable of those. Pardon me, those individual big moment stops. You know what I mean? OG is capable of that. Mitch, you know what I mean, is capable of that. So if all these things continue to grow, and there's another part that I didn't get to with Brunson, but I think that conscious effort of finding Cat in particular, but finding his guys, if that continues to mature, yeah, I think we could beat anybody. So I got my money on us too, especially because we're trending towards it. You know what I mean? Like we're seeing these things over the last, before the All-Star break to now, maybe like 10 games. Like I said, we're seeing the growth of this team
Well,
on multiple different levels.
for the record, though, whatever it's worth, though, Vegas got the Knicks currently at four to come out the
For
East.
best odds.
Yeah, Pistons, Cavs, Celtics, Knicks.
Oh, fourth in the East.
Yeah, fourth best odds to come out of the East to win the Eastern Conference. Just to be clear, so whatever Vegas is worth to you guys.
um, I think part of that is probably the expectation of Tatum coming back. Um, I don't know. I don't know how they got the Cavs over us. To be honest, like the Cavs got better 100%, but everybody's argument that the playoffs is a different animal. Shit, look at the Cavs last year. The proof is right there that the playoffs is a different animal. And as great as Harden is as a player and as an addition, his biggest knock has been his playoff record, I'll say, rather than performance itself, even though he's had some shaky playoff performances. Walter White, appreciate the super chat. He says remaining strength of schedule: Boston 6th, Detroit 7th, Knicks 22nd, Cleveland 27th. To me, that strength of schedule thing, it's not that important in the sense that when we're bad, we can lose to anybody, and we've seen it. So strength of schedule is not as important as strength of the Knicks themselves. You know what I mean? Like, how are they playing?
Right.
during, during, not even who are they playing, right? How are they playing is more important than who are they playing for the most part.
And there's several games specifically against Boston that the Knicks will mess around and find out losing them games.
Oh well, we already got the season series against them.
There's no games left against Boston.
If there is, we are. I don't think so. I think we already clinched the head to head record. You know what I mean? If we're tied, we win. So they have to be above us to, you know what I mean?
Well,
To
it's 2-1 versus Boston this season, and there's another game left, so it could be a 2-2
Oh,
tiebreaker.
it could be 2-2. There's another game. Part of my cat. She keep coming back.
Yeah.
Um,
So Detroit is probably not reachable at this point, respectfully. Boston, while they may have a tougher schedule right now, they're still a game ahead of the Knicks.
mm-hmm.
And if the Knicks are not handling their business, doesn't matter what the strength of schedule is, because you know, truth be told, the way the Knicks was looking against Chicago last night, I was worried they were going to win that game. So we got to, like you said, Tone, we got to focus more on, What are the Knicks looking like? What can they do? Can you handle your own business? Can you handle
That-
your own business?
That's right. That's right. Because yeah, I can't even look at like strength of schedule no more, or even who we're playing tonight. You know what I mean? Like I can't even like look at that no more because
I
they
am.
they
I
have
did, I did a whole 10 game, next 10 game dive earlier this morning.
well when I say that I mean there's no gimmies anymore. You know what I mean? Like the Knicks
Oh
have blown that privilege of me feeling like, or I shouldn't even put it like that. But you know what I mean? There's no more gimme games. You know what I mean?
no.
They don't have that
It's
luxury
like
with me anymore.
it's like when that message pops up on my GPS. Say, oh, red light camera ahead. Every camera's a red light camera, fam. You ain't got to tell me that. Like every game's a tough game at this point. You got, I mean, unless you're playing, except for let's see here, you got a game versus uh Utah, who's for all argument's sake tanking. You got one game against Washington, another team tanking. So you got a couple of teams that are tanking. Indiana, I don't want to say they're tanking because they always play the Knicks like it's a championship game. But yeah, you got a few teams. You only got a couple of teams that are tanking. You got some teams that are playing for playoff positioning, and there's a run in the next 10 games, which goes past March 6th, because I see that super chat. March 6th is Denver. March 8th is the Lakers, who are a playoff team. Yeah, the Clippers probably ain't going nowhere after these trades, but as of right now, they're a playing team. And if Kawhi is still playing, I mean, I don't see why he's not going to be trying to get buckets. March 15th, you got Golden State. I mean, they just beat Denver, and Steph Curry didn't even play. So, you got some gimmies after that: Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington, New Orleans, Charlotte. So you got a nice run right there, you know. But then after that, you got Oklahoma City, you got Houston, and then you wrapping up with Boston, Toronto. So
Playoff
listen,
teams.
playoff teams. So it's gonna be like Tone said. You know, words like the schedule was gravy. I'm sorry, Mr. White, can't do it.
Appreciate the super chat. I didn't have to read it because you addressed it, but oh, Walter, yeah, and again, I hope if we're playing at our peak selves and we find how to implement all these deficiencies that or neutralize all these deficiencies we've had throughout the year. Maybe we could get back to the point where some games are gimmies, but right now we've lost too many games we should have for me to not respect our opponents night in and night out. And
I mean,
he did want to change that to March 9th as opposed to March 6th.
yeah, there
March
we go.
9th. That's a
Yeah, right. Yeah, after March 9th, respect to the BIG. After
yes, that's where I was going.
after March 9th, yeah, then you got Utah, Indiana, Golden State, maybe, feeling like they're ready to coast out the rest of the season by then. Then you got Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington, New Orleans, Charlotte. So yeah, there is a nice run from March 11th up until Oklahoma City. So you got a good 7, 8 games where really in theory you should win all those games. You know, and then you go to Charlotte. Charlotte is definitely looking like yo, don't sleep on us. Charlotte, they playing tough. Yeah, they're under 500 and they're 10 seed right now, but
They on
um
a run. They on a stretch. They're playing
yeah,
the best basketball of the season for them.
they won 7 out of their last 3 games. They have. even though their winning percentage is four, they've lost 4 games more than they've won. They still have managed to be. They still managed to currently be at plus 1.9. Atlanta Hawks have won one more game and have the same amount of losses, but they're at a negative 1.4. So Charlotte is scoring the ball and they're hot. They're hot recently. They're 7 out of the last 10 games. They've won. So they're healthy, and you know they're a team in the position where they're at. You're gonna get their best. You're gonna get the best out of the Charlotte
Hmm.
Hornets when the Knicks play them if they
And,
keep where they're at.
and as you seen with the big scuffle, you know what I mean. They ain't punks either. You know what I mean. Like you're not gonna punk them to a victory.
Nah, ain't gonna be no
And
back
I
down,
ain't gonna lie. No, go ahead. What was you gonna say?
no back downs.
Yeah, no back. They don't. They they ready to scrap it if need be. But yeah, I like that squad. I thought I had mentioned this early in the year that their record when their top guys are all available was like 11 and 4. I'm sure that joint improved significantly because this was before they went on this stretch, before they was even in playoff contention or playing contention. They still were doing what they needed to do when everybody was available. They just had guys missing time, and they didn't have their full squad, you know, available early in the year. So yeah, I'm not sleeping on them. But again, I ain't worried about them either. I'm just saying the Knicks have shown me I can't take any opponent lightly, moving forward. But
And
I did hear your adjustment. It is a great time to gather data. Um,
but
and then
it,
Walter White said, look at Detroit's schedule, Boston's schedule during that same stretch, which is fair, but we can't control what they do during that schedule. You know what I mean? We can only control our opponents and how we play in that run.
and
So
what I
hopefully they falter and lose some games during that stretch and help us out. But we got to win ours 100%.
so and I also want to just make a note. Like, to me, that's an example of, right. You're playing a team that doesn't have a great schedule, and the strength of schedule for you is looking like it's a lot easier, and you're playing a team like the Charlotte Hornets, who are 4 games under 500, right? But they're trending, and they're a tough team right now. You're playing the Indiana Pacers, who have one of the worst records in the league, but they just beat you. They don't like you, and they're gonna play you tough every time they play you, regardless of what the record is. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're supposed to put me in there.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he just threw me in there. He just threw you in there, Power Father.
I ain't expected just being there like that.
Hey, stay ready. You ain't gotta get ready.
You know what I'm saying he didn't throw me in there. It was the phone did it. The phone just threw me in there.
You're always welcome, man. Welcome,
I'm
as
driving.
Shuttle would say, all aboard.
Um, I'm driving right now, so I'm not gonna get on screen.
No doubt. Um, I don't know if you was listening in. Go ahead and give your thoughts. If not, what I mean. I'll give you a fill in.
That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to just listen in the background, see where you were at, and then jump in. But it just threw me in there.
No doubt. Where were we? We were talking about Walter White. Let me see if I could find the actual super chat. But basically, you know, um, Walter White was saying how after March 9th, it's kind of like an easy schedule. He was referencing how Detroit and the
Boston.
Celtics schedule are a bit tougher down the stretch. My point was I don't have that grace with the Knicks any currently, you know what I mean, to overlook an opponent or look at strength of schedule and say these are my expectations. Like they've proven that they can lose to anybody at this point. So it's really about what Nick's team is playing, not who they're playing.
And when you and by saying what Knicks team, you mean who shows up,
Yes, the
right?
quality of how
Jekyll and
they're
Hyde,
playing. Yes,
right?
correct.
Jekyll and Hyde. You know, yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? It's like no offense to Walter White, but and I don't know if this is what he was saying. I doubt this is what he was saying, but I'm tired of making excuses every time I turn around. Every time we turn around, someone is making an excuse. Oh, we won the cup, so we was
Fatigue,
tired. You know what I'm saying? It's what they say is
the dog
the
days.
dog days. You know what I mean? I was waiting for if the Knicks would have lost last night. I was waiting to hear. Oh well, they just came off of an emotional game against Houston, back to back. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and if we don't win the championship, what's going to be the excuse then? Like I just keep. I mean, I'm not. You know, you know, you already knew. You know, it wasn't championship or bust for me, right? But every time we go through a stretch, you know, there's these different excuses about why, you know, and sometimes to me, you know, why. When I'm saying why, I mean why other than basketball reasons.
Hmm.
Obviously, you lose games due to basketball reasons, but it's all these other things that you know I keep hearing from even the media. Just where it's basketball. We lost because of basketball. If you're supposed to be a championship level team, there are no excuses to me. You know, if you lose because you didn't play the game well. If you go on a
Well,
losing streak, it's
I
because
do
you're
think
not playing good.
I do think and I'll put his comment up here, but I just in Walter's defense, I think one of the asterisks, or he said later on, was it's a good time to collect data during those stretches. Um,
Okay.
I do agree with that, and then he just said he's not making excuses. Just giving stats as far as the remaining strength of schedule for those guys ahead of us and us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean,
definitely. That
it can be an opportunity, 100%,
right. I get
but
that.
it's up to the Knicks to show up and take advantage of it.
Right. I get that. And strength of schedule when you start talking about seeding and all of that. I definitely get that.
Yeah, and I just countered not harshly, but gently to say that strength of schedule could be a little bit overrated. Because right now Charlotte's 4 games under 500, but they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now, and they're on the schedule. You got Indiana, one of the worst records in the league, but they
Just
they
kick their ass.
they just spanked the Knicks, and they play the Knicks like it's the championship every time they play them.
Every time.
So I'm just not really I'm not really hype on using strength of schedule. It's more about where the team currently is and how they're playing going down the stretch. For
Yeah.
the Knicks and all the teams for that matter. And right now, you could say Boston's got a tougher strength of schedule, but Boston's on fire right now. So that strength of schedule, for the teams that are playing Boston, Boston is the reason why their strength of schedule is up. You know, not too many teams want to play Boston right now.
Right. And I don't listen, I don't care how the Knicks win. I just want them to win. You know what I'm saying? And I know they're not going to win every game. I want them to play well, play good basketball.
Yes.
That's it. Play good basketball because you're not going to win every game. You can play good basketball and lose. Just play good basketball consistently.
100, like like how you lose is just as important as how you win, right?
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if those losses to Detroit were close games, down to the buzzer, Brunson misses the game winner. You know what I mean? We're not looking at the situation the way we currently are, the way some of us currently are. I know
Right.
Sim, your big thing is in your show on your chats is all the people who keep saying they're not scared of Boston, not scared of Detroit, right?
Right.
But if you show some fear or you respect your opponent, you know what I mean. There's nothing wrong with that either, especially given the way we've lost those games, right? I don't think you could discount the way we've lost those games.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
So
just
I,
because
I think the way you lose is just as important.
and many fans are going to the well, we lost to Boston all season, but we beat them in the playoffs. But right, but unlike the Celtics, unlike the Celtics, right? In this case, unlike the Pistons, rather, I should say, with the Celtics, there was a level of respect. They won a championship. They got veteran players. You know, they've been sunning you. You know what I mean? So even though you ended up winning, you went into it like, yo, wow, this is gonna be tough. Maybe we not gonna beat them. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
And because it's the Detroit Pistons and you beat them in the playoffs last year, you're not giving them a certain level of respect. And when somebody beat you by 30 twice and then beat you by close to 20 with two of their most important players out, like you might want to respect them.
Um,
At least a little
I
bit.
want to get to Alice's comment, but give me 1 second. Um, because somebody else. Oh,
Sure,
Trav
we
B.
gotta
He said the Pistons smacked us last year too, which is true. And one of the things that has said on Sim show, the last show we had, so it's kind of the flip side to your argument, Shuttle, or your comment is, and I'm not relying on this, but there is a chance that they overlook us now, right? That they feel like, oh, we should have won last year in the playoffs. Those games were close, and look at who we are now, and look at what we've done. You know what I mean? So there's a chance that they don't respect the Knicks as an opponent, and that could be their downfall.
Right.
nah,
Just the
Well,
flip side to what
nah,
you're saying, Shadow.
no way.
how I would combat that though is that if they lost to us, if they beat us during the regular season last year and lost to us in the playoffs, and now they're beating us this year, in their mind they're gonna say, "But we lost to them last year in the playoffs." Right? Yeah, we're beating them. We're beating them, but we did the same thing last year and we lost in the playoffs. So I think that's always going to be on their mind that they lost to us in the playoffs, regardless of what the regular season record was. You know,
I agree with that, especially with their coach,
yeah.
because
Yo,
And I
he's
think for Knicks fans, I'm sorry, Shuttle.
go.
That's one last thing. I think for the Knicks and for Knicks fans, I think we can't base anything on last year because we're a different team than last year. We're not the same team. We got a different coach, different mindsets coming into games, coming into the season. You know what I'm saying? Different strategies, different philosophies. Like a lot of stuff is different with this team than last year. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't think we can count on last year on us being able to draw from last year because we're not the same team.
Correct. And I think that goes right to the chat that Tony posted up. Respectfully, that was a month ago. Every 10 games is a theme, story, narrative. This team has the DNA now. Have to put it all together. Accountability has to be at the forefront, and it has. So, you've got now to the title for today's, show was, Gritty City and the increased toughness. So yeah, so now you have some more toughness on the team. You got more of a defensive presence been added to the team that you didn't have last year. I'm sure that you didn't have most of the season, especially. But to the Pistons, though, listen, the Pistons want the Knicks, bro. It's almost like how Indiana wanted the Knicks. It's very similar, and there's no way am I thinking that the Pistons are feeling like we beat the Knicks a couple of times during the season, no matter how much we spank them, and they're going to be overlooking the Knicks. No, they want to see the Knicks and they want to beat the Knicks to show everybody, yo, we should have beat them last year. We're gonna beat them all season, and we're gonna beat them in the playoffs too. That's what I'm thinking is that's what I'm hearing, that's what I'm seeing, and that's what it feels like. You on mute, Tone. And you got a super chat.
Pardon me. Do you think they have a respect? Do you think there's a respect level that they have for the Knicks? Because I don't. That's the difference. And I agree that they do want the Knicks and they want to prove all that stuff, but it don't seem like they have a healthy respect level for us.
I think they do, but it's not like it ain't like they're not like from like this LeBron James hugging, skinning, and grinning kind of energy. They not in like we respect you from a very far distance. You know what I'm saying? And when we come to play you, it's like Iverson doing a crossover on Jordan. He's like, yo, you don't love me, you wouldn't have did that. Nah, like I respect what y'all doing over there in New York, but yo, Detroit was getting dismissed and kicked to the curb for so long. And like I mentioned earlier, they had calls, they weren't getting calls, like they were treated like a laughing stock. So now this coach is here. They got a tough coach, they got a tough mentality. And just because I respect you don't mean I'm not coming to kick you and beat you down.
Sam, your thoughts before I get to that super chat. You think there is respect there for us?
I do. Because I think you don't target a team unless you have some kind of respect for them.
And that's a fact.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Unless you're a young team and don't know no better, but I agree. I agree with an
I mean,
experienced team, right?
yeah. I mean, because I look at just like if it's somebody out there that go back to when you was young, right? Somebody out there that was talking garbage. If it was a nobody, you'd be like, man, whoever, I ain't even worried about it, right? Somebody who don't even have a reputation. But if it's somebody out there that has a reputation, you gotta, you gotta stand up, right? And that takes a level of respect because other people respect them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if I don't stand up, what am I going? What am I going to look like? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like you only, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put a target on the people that you respect, that I got to take this person down, or I got to take this team down in order to get where I got to go. So I need to prove something to them. You know what I'm saying? I think they approach every game like that. I think the fact that they play so aggressive against us is a sign of respect.
That's fair.
Facts.
Shout out to Walter White. Appreciate the super chat. He said, "Our goal is not to beat Detroit," and I think he's saying like that's not our singular goal. Like that's not the main thing, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. I don't think he's saying like we're not trying to beat Detroit, but like that's not the main goal. And I agree. And and that's kind of what I was saying too with Detroit. Is their main goal to beat the Knicks? You know what I'm saying? Like, do they have you know what I mean? True aspirations past that? Or you know what I mean? Is the revenge, is the Knicks, wherever at whatever stage it happens, you know what I mean? Like, well, obviously it won't be first round, but you know what I mean? Like,
I'll say this, Tone. They have the number one record in the entire NBA right now. So to say that the Pistons are only thinking about the Knicks and that's the only aspiration, I'm just like, well, I mean, all the other wins that they got, they're on pace for 60 wins. Obviously, they're beating other teams. You know what I'm saying? And secondly, while our goal might not be to only to beat Detroit, if you are good, if you're looking to get out of the Eastern Conference right now,
You
um,
may have
if,
to.
if you had to make a bet, the road is gonna go through Detroit. So, like, let's just pay proper respects, man, because we can't sit here and act like Detroit's not respecting the Knicks, and they got the number one record in the entire NBA, and you're not gonna respect them. Like what we talking about here?
Well, maybe it's the Knicks that need to show the Knicks more respect because them ass whippers, man.
Yo,
Them
crazy,
joints was bad.
crazy.
Walter White, he said Detroit's goal should be to win a playoff series. Period.
If you got the number one seed, you're probably thinking a little bit higher than that.
Right. Especially, I mean, it's not like they didn't win the playoff series last year. We met them in the second round, right? No,
No,
we met them in the first
no,
round. We met
no.
them in the first
Yeah,
round.
and they haven't won
Yeah.
a home playoff game either.
Yeah, and OKC came from out of nowhere and won a championship last year and had the best record in the league. So you gotta kind of be alert and be
Mhm.
on point with where the NBA is trending right now. This ain't this ain't this the Lakers dynasty. It's not the LeBron dynasty. It ain't the Warriors dynasty. Now you're looking at teams that are gonna pop up that weren't the number one teams, and now this year they're the number one team.
Yeah, for me, I'm not gonna say I'm not worried because I have a respect level for them. Um, and this is not no easy task in doing, but to me, the key is really figuring out how to stop slash slow down Kate, right? Because similar to the Knicks, is like they don't have many guys outside of K that can create their own shot, create offense for themselves or others. Like he's literally dominating the games and carrying the team. So the same way the game plan and the goal, especially last year and we've seen it recently in these stretches of games, it's kind of like get the ball out of Brunson's head. Don't let Brunson beat us. And we talked about it after the loss, Sim, on your post game show. You
Right.
know what I mean? The problem is he's just making all the right reads.
Right.
But I will say this: we haven't really blitzed. Like the level of pressure that Brunson has received. I don't think we've given that to Cade. Us. I don't know if he's seen it this year against other opponents, but we haven't done that. You know what I mean? I don't think we've done everything. And it goes back to that comment that somebody put in your chat, like, "Oh, we're holding out." Some of the tactical things. I don't know if that's true or not, if we're holding out or we just haven't done everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it hasn't been implemented, but we haven't hard tracked. We haven't forced him to kind of give the ball up, like live by. He's not going to beat us. You know what I mean? Like we've seen single coverage with OG or whomever, and he's just been reading those and beating those and killing us that way. Um, I'm sorry, I got another chat, super chat, but you guys, any thoughts on just how to beat Detroit?
Yeah, you gotta use Jedi mind tricks against Detroit. You gotta get into the Jedi mind trick bag against them.
Yeah.
You can't, like, this is not a team where, like, like a team might play fast, so you try to play faster than them. A team shoots a lot of threes, so you're gonna try to out 3-point them. Yo, Detroit is a hustle and muscle team, and even though I'm happy for Alvarado and I'm happy for Sohan being here, like, don't try to out tough these guys. That's not That's not the technique. You gotta you gotta you see he said be more physical. Nah, you can't like obviously don't let them punk you. Don't like you gotta stand up for yourself, right? Of course. But don't come in like yo, we gonna come in and send them a message. We gonna be mad aggressive, hit somebody. Nah, don't do that. You gotta find some other Jedi mind tricks to run on these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that's the approach that I would do anyway. And get them thinking more. Get them thinking more. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
And,
and, and, and figuring out, and you got to start fast. That's one thing. You got to get
yeah.
a lead.
And Tony,
To me, that sounds like coaching. Sim, you can answer the same question, but I'm gonna add to it. Do you how much? Because talent wise, I think we're the more talented team. 100%. It is like you can't convince me we're not. How much of it is it come to the actual coaching to win to beat them as opposed to the talent?
I think a lot's going to come down to coaching to beat them. I mean, talent only takes you so far, right? So you need the will, you need the heart, you need the coaching, you need strategy. You know what I'm saying? You need all of that stuff to win. Um, and so yeah, I think coaching is definitely going to play a huge role in it because I don't think we can out physical them. That's not who we are,
I agree.
right? So we're not going to beat them at their game if we don't even play that game or we barely play that game. You know what I'm saying? So we got to figure out what works for us against them in order to win, right? We got to look at film and see, and when we beat them for any length of time during the game, what is it that we were doing and how do we duplicate it, right? How do we spread that out across the game? We got to figure that out. Um, and does it come down to just stopping Cade? I think you have brought to my attention that a Detroit fan or content creator was talking about their record without Cade this year, right? And it was like, a pretty good record without Cade.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make them a playoff team without Cade or whatever it is, but it does indicate that they have some guys who can produce even if you shut Cade down. I mean, if he's not there and they still won games, you know what I'm saying, then maybe these guys can produce. And also I mean, like you kind of alluded to, throwing double teams at him is kind of his game. He's gonna find the people that's available, that's open. You know what I'm saying? And they're the type of team that, because they don't have another guy that's just a creator that way, they're gonna move the ball till they find the best shot.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
only thing
so
about that is I feel like we've been hedging more than like a hard double. You know what I mean? Like that's my only like that's the only difference. I think it's so much easier to pick the game apart when you half-assing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you try to hedge and recover. No, trap. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like get it out. You know what I mean? Like
I think here's the hard part with doing that against Cade. I think, right? He's tall enough
oh
so he can
yeah.
still see over the defense. Now, obviously you're gonna be trying to trap with some taller guys. So OG and Bridges, I would hope you're not trying to trap with Brunson because he'll see right over top of Brunson, right? So you would think it would be OG and Bridges, so they can provide some height to hopefully disrupt his vision. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's not gonna last an entire game
Mhm.
doing it because pretty soon they're gonna figure out, okay, well they're gonna send it hard trap here. We're gonna do this, boom, 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 right? Okay, you pass it and then flash to the basket really quick, pass it back to him or something. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something you can really do the entire game. I don't think, because I think if anyone, if it's not the coaching staff, Cade is smart enough to figure it out.
That's fair. I got another super chat, and then I want to close out with two quick segments. But shout out to JB again. He says, appreciate the super chat. He says, being the number one seed guarantees nothing come playoff time. Like I said, Detroit has to beat us 4 out of 7. They playing tough, but I'm not convinced. I mean,
That's the same story we
I
keep
mean,
hearing.
I'm not gonna say I'm convinced either, and my apologies if it sounds like I don't think we could beat them, but it is a healthy respect for them.
Sure indeed.
And then Walter White,
Yeah.
appreciate you again. Appreciate the super chat. He says, y'all y'all gonna roast me, but I like how Sohan looked on defense. They just have OT. They just have to communicate, and Sohan will help against Detroit. I'm not gonna kill you at all because I felt like Sohan played the best defense of any Nick on Cade in that game, and I keep saying it, including that step back 3 that kind of got Cade amped up. But when we talk about respect, I think he got that amped up because he knew Sohan had given him the toughest defense he saw that night. So it was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you can't guard me either, even though you played me well in the previous 2 possessions. You know what I mean? Like, so I agree 100%. That was the one thing that I wished he had more possessions, because I think he got pulled right after that play, as like it was a punishment where I thought, like, all right, like, let him keep going, make him do it again. You know what I mean? Make him make another step back 3. You know what I mean? But that also was like in the midst of their run to kind of separate the game definitively. My bad, Sim, if I had cut you off with something.
No.
And
Um,
I think Sohan has a reputation though of being an excellent defender, and I gotta say, right, they're not the same player, but Cade reminds me of SGA quite a bit, and I've watched some tape on Sohan defending SGA,
Mhm.
and yeah, he's giving him a very tough time. So I think when the playoffs come, that might be a dedicated assignment. It may be off the bench, but still, but it may become a dedicated assignment, and I'm looking forward to seeing if the team does that and what it does, because I mean to put him on Sohan and to free up OG now to be on somebody else means, all right, good. We got somebody tough on Sohan, and we got OG to make it to lock down whoever else. You know what I'm saying, or put them, put them in a tough position. So now, you're not making it, you're not doing too much with your defensive schemes where you gotta, give too much help. And I think some of the poor trapping, the hedging that the team was doing is what put the teams in
That's a
bad
good point.
position. It
Good
puts them
point.
in bad positions. It ends up make Cat, doing what he does on defense, or doesn't do. And yeah, so like one of the messages earlier was new DNA, new team now, and between Alvarado, Sohan, I'm looking forward to seeing how all this shakes up if we play Detroit, because who knows? Maybe somebody else will beat them.
that's true. And I just want to clear up to everybody. I don't think that we can't beat Detroit, right? Um, I'm just saying I'm not going to dismiss Detroit because they're tough.
That's it.
That's it. They're tough, and I just don't think. I mean, we did the same thing last year to Indiana, right? We got to the Eastern Conference Finals, we dismissed them. We're down, we're down in the series. People still, I ain't worried about Indiana. We're gonna come back. I ain't worried about them. You know what I'm saying? And look what happened,
They were one of the hottest teams going into the
right?
playoffs.
Going into the playoffs, one of the
Yeah,
hottest
from
teams.
January on too, right? It wasn't even
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
a
like
stretch.
like the
yeah.
best team in the league from January on, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I do I believe we can beat Detroit? Yes, I do. I believe they can beat us too. You know what I'm saying? So, it'll be a battle. It'll be a tough, hard fought series. It'll be a battle. You know what I mean? And I think I think as fans, we should respect it that way.
No, no doubt. I got another super chat. Appreciate you, Paris Duggar. Appreciate the super chat. He said, "We just living, we just living just enough for the city. We're not
Regular
regular
season.
team. We're regular season casuals. We're a series team. We gotta get punched to play." Mm.
Yeah, well,
There may be some truth to that, but I don't love that.
I don't love that either because if you
I
ever
agree.
been,
It's like
if
I'm not even disputing it. I don't like it either. Like because
yeah,
it's facts
like
to it.
I mean, because
Unfortunately.
if you ever been punched before, them shits hurt and they can knock you out.
Word.
Um and and,
Shit.
and, and I guess the positive to take away from that is, when we get punched, we hit back, right? We don't curl up
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and go into a corner or something. So unfortunately, the reason we don't like it is because we want to hit first. We want to punch first. Like that needs to be our identity. And sometimes I mean, and it's not just this team this year. Like we've seen that a couple times in the past years where we got to get hit, we got to go down to get up. You know what I mean? We got to get hit first. We got to bounce back. All that stuff. Sim, I, you missed the Alvarado talk and the cat talk. If anything you want to talk about or mention in those last two games, I know you didn't get to do a post game at all either. So anything, your thoughts on those two guys in particular in the last two games, or if you want to stretch it out, since
um,
Alvarado been here or whatever.
well, I mean, I tell you, with Cat, I've had my qualms with Cat. Everybody knows that, but I just like that he's doing right now. I feel like he's really trying to do whatever it is that he has to do to win. You know what I'm saying? And he's not being, you get fans, you get reporters, trying to, oh, do you think they should give you the ball more? And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but should they feature you, this and that? And he's like, listen, this is how we've been running our offense all year. This is what we're doing now. This is our offense. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? To try to keep the focus on the team. You know what I'm saying? And he's just right now playing his role and just trying to be the best in his role. So I really like I like that he's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever's being needed from him is what he's giving. And Alvarado, he's
Spark, my bad,
he's that
Spark.
spark. Yeah, he's that spark. You know what I'm saying? Um, he gives you that lightning and electricity that we haven't really had on the team. It's not a coincidence that he's playing crunch time minutes. Because of his defense, comes up with big plays and those things. But I'm gonna tell you the guy that I really just like Shamit, man. I just love Shamit's shooting. This guy's gonna continue to give you 15 to 20 points a game, in my opinion, even in the playoffs, because there's so much attention to guys that can penetrate to the basket. Brunson, Cat, Josh Hart, like it's so much attention to these guys, and OG, because they got the names that Shamit, people sleep on him, and he's
But
knocking down shots,
but
and he
Sim,
plays defense.
but Sim, when Deuce comes back, what's gonna happen to him?
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen to who?
I said Deuce. When Deuce come back, what's gonna happen to him?
I mean, then maybe you're gonna have a 10-man rotation.
Yeah, you're gonna play Alvarado, You're going to
Dude.
play Shamit. You're gonna play Sohan. You're gonna
Uh,
play, and you're gonna play Mitch. Those are your four
that's
players.
9.
Those are your four players on the bench.
What? You don't think Deuce will play? I mean, Sohan's only getting 11 minutes, 9 to 12 minutes a game.
I listen. It's a whole nother 5 weeks at least before Deuce comes back for Sohan to get acclimated. And I don't know. I think Sohan and his defensive presence is more valuable to the wing position versus
So
putting Deuce at the 2 and Shamit at the 3.
let me ask you this, because I asked Tony this last night, I think it was, right? Alvarado came, automatically started playing 25 minutes a game without getting used to the team, without getting you know, any of that. Sohan, he came, he's not getting that. He's getting 10 minutes a game. What's the difference?
Well,
So,
I think part of it
menu?
for Sohan is that
A menu? Can I see a menu?
this guy ordering food. I see him.
My bad.
You good?
So I think with Sohan, right? When you're a point guard and you play with the ball, as long as you can handle the ball, you're gonna have the ball more. You know, I just think he's had an opportunity to have more impact, and he's had it. Brunson has to take a break, so figuring out where Sohan is gonna fit, I think is a little bit more of a challenge than Alvarado. It's an easier substitution. Brunson's out, Alvarado's in, and with Deuce not being here, it also makes it a lot easier to just go ahead and do that. But is Sohan coming in for? Is he coming in for Hart? Is he coming in for Bridges? Is he coming in for OG? Like who exactly? I think all of that is still to to
Figure
really,
itself out.
yeah, it's still to be determined.
Um, just to add to that, I think the bump in Alvarado's minutes is because he's shown and we've seen him play alongside Brunson, which to me, I didn't know that was going to be even fathomable considering the small size of the two of them in the backcourt. But we've seen him close with Brunson. Um, was it last game? No, well, no, the Houston game for sure, and I think he got some minutes down the stretch last game too, right?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. That bump is something that has surprised me. I agree with Shutter. I think it's harder to find a definitive spot. We talked about it, Sim, but because of his lack of offense, right? So you almost got to bring him in to sub out a defensive guy. You know what I mean? Because you still want to have some shooting options or a creator on the floor with him.
Right. Yeah, I think, I feel like it's kind of, I guess he can play the 3 or the 4, right? Because he can defend both positions. Maybe some small ball 5 every once in a while. Um, but it's that offensive side that maybe, limits him, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Limits him and then limits his opportunity.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. You know what I mean? Where, you know, I get what Charlotte's saying with Deuce because of Deuce's size, it's gonna be it's a little bit. Yeah, he's only gonna be able to guard the 1 and the 2, and we need more people that can guard the 3 and the 4.
That's a fact.
And you talk about the fifth guy. I know it's not gonna happen, but Diawara, You know what I mean? That gives you some size, that gives you some offensive skills, that gives you some defense. It's like a, you know what I mean? If he could get some polish and polish some things up. And again, I'm not advocating for Deuce not to play or not to, you know what I mean, not to be involved, but I'm saying it just gives you options on what you need this series, which you might not be what you need next series. You know what I mean? Shuttle, I'm gonna let you could give your thought on what you're about to say, but I'm gonna let you also close us out on your thoughts on Brunson in those last two games. That's the last guy that we didn't talk about that I wanted to. And I'll squeeze in my little tidbit on Mikhail.
Well, Brunson is a clutch guy. So even when he has a bad game, he's able to clean it up. When it mattered most, and that's what he did against Houston. And as long as he continues to do that, he's gonna be who he is. I like when he got in Cat's face. He said, "You need to effing post up, effing post up, effing post up." You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I like that. Maybe Alvarado's had a little bit of an impact on that. I like to think that he has. So yeah, so kudos to Brunson last couple of games. Listen, you have a little bad first three quarters. We don't care if you do it during clutch time. That's what they call you. You know what I mean? The clutch guy, right? So, but one thing I forgot to mention earlier when we talked uh about the last two games. Not sure if you saw it. Absolutely, Alvarado's won two games. You talked about Alvarado being on the floor with Brunson. The Knicks ran a play where, uh, man, it stood out so much. They brought Brunson. It was an out of bounds play from the side. They brought
Brunson
Brunson.
inbounded.
Did he inbound it? I don't remember who inbounded it. But Brunson ran from the baseline, came up and got the ball from maybe Cat around the top of the key, and it was so much focus on the action in Brunson. Then Bridges looped back to the corner. Brunson got at the top of the key and immediately whipped it to Bridges. Bridges got another play along those same lines where I want to say it was damn near like a Rip Hamilton type of run around to the side, and they caught him moving quickly. Yo, we need more plays like those. Those are the plays that Bridges needs specifically. And having a guy like Alvarado that can get past his man and be a threat to actually get to the hoop and shoot a shot, unlike anybody else but Brunson on this team. Like, you have that, you have the threat of Cat shooting a three, and then you have now all the action is now they have to work a little harder to defend Brunson versus just him dribbling. You make yourself easier to defend that way. Being able to come off a curl or two and get the ball, now it's a little harder to defend you because now that they're trying to figure out, oh, should I stay with my man or should I help on Brunson moving over there? So I just like to see more of that.
No doubt. I got uh, another super chat. Parrish Duggar, appreciate you. He said Sohan should have played more over Porty last night. I actually thought that would have been the opportunity as well. When Sim mentioned we talked about this earlier on the phone, I said that same exact sentiment, especially with Mitch out. I thought he would have had some more small ball five opportunities. Um, yeah, I didn't really think about it during the game, but it definitely crossed my mind after the game. Um, and then this actually leads right to what I wanted to say about Brunson as well. He said Brunson will miss shots as he's adjusting to lower usage, but he will adjust. You actually answered, or I didn't think of this, but this is actually a great response to what I've noticed from Brunson last two games, maybe last 5 games or so, where you know It seems like his usage is down. His shot attempts, we seen I think one of them games, it was a bad game for him, but 8 shot attempts. Um, one of the last 2 games, he only had 4 shot attempts at halftime. Um, you put that into you combine that with the fact that I think he is visibly um consciously making an attempt to find Cat more than I think he has all year long, which I thought was an issue, a personal issue for me. It did seem as though I don't want to say overlooks Cat, but I think maybe because of his size, I was just chalking it up to maybe he can't see him or can't get it to him because of what I mean, his lack of size. But I mean, these past couple games, he's been finding them. You know what I mean? And Alvarado's smaller than him, and he's been finding him from the jump. You know what I mean? As soon as he became a Nick, it was like, all right, let me find and feed Cat, and so I hope you're right, Walter White, because that's one of the things that has been something that I noticed. His usage rate going down, which I have no issue with, and him finding Cat more, which I definitely don't have an issue with. These are things that I think are needed for us to be the best version of ourselves moving forward. So
Brunson's like an old school running back, like a John Riggins. I don't know if you remember him, throwback. You know what I mean? Some running backs don't get their groove until they hit 20 plus carries, 25 carries, 30 carries. You know what I'm saying? And Brunson's that kind of throwback where, you know, the more he shoots, the more he plays, the more he's gonna get more rhythm. And um and again, I know this is the Tibbs thing that people hate, but you know, this is why this like that's a reason why I never really had an issue with the minutes thing because whoops, sorry about that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't have an issue with minutes because for me, my understanding is that part of like the minutes that you play is this part of establishing your groove for you know what I mean? It's just part of establishing your groove. And if you play less minutes, you're not giving yourself a chance to, you know, get your flow, get your energy, touch the ball, get hit, fall down, get back up. Like all of those things are part of establishing your groove in the game. The more you play, the more you establish the groove. Some DJs can jump on the set in the middle when it's on fire and
mm,
just bring the fire immediately. Some DJs
gotta
need more
warm up.
time, gotta warm up into the crowd. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta know your players, right? And to your point, and asking that question, again, I know y'all don't want to hear this Tibbs thing in the comparison. I just think that knowing his team, knowing his players, he knows that these players are better with minutes. My man, shout to the old head.
Um, dang, I
Personally,
forgot what I was good. Oh, you mentioned
personally, I do both. I'm good. I like
you
to
meant
warm up. I like to be there early if when I get a chance. But if it's on fire, I'm ready to come on and bring the heat to it.
and it's not gonna deter you, right? Like,
Now I'm a wild animal, you know what I'm saying? Like Kobe said, but more. You know what I'm saying?
no,
To
but
Kanye.
to your point, there's some DJs that they don't want to go in if the crowd is already on fire. You know what I mean? Like that might be a scary sight for them. Like, oh, like now I'm under pressure. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't go down. I can only I have to keep it here or go up. You know what I
Yab-
mean? So
Yabaseli, Obi Toppin. You know what I'm saying?
um
Like these type of guys.
you mentioned something that I think correlates well to Mikal Bridges, and I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna come out and give my spill on how he got to step it up, and you know what I mean. I already talked about how I think Cat's presence has shielded him from a lot of backlash in these 2 years, and now granted he's shooting the ball great. I think he's like at 50% or 50%. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He's shooting a high percentage, especially from the corner threes. I think he leads the league in percentage on corner threes, but it still feel like something's missing. But you made me where you said some guys got to have that rhythm or have those minutes. One thing I will say about Bridges, you know what I mean, like last game, it looked like he was having a horrible game, right? You might even say he didn't have a good game, and he was missing all these threes, but then he hit a big one. You know what I'm saying? He hit a big one that was needed for us to kind of squeak out this win.
Now that was clutch.
You know what I mean? So it's like I felt like, all right, this might have been a game you got to sit him, but then he comes in and hits that big three down the stretch. So I'm gonna give him a pass because what you said made me feel like I was about to go overboard on him. But there is something missing from McHale, and it's been missing throughout his tenure here. You know what I mean? But then he makes up for it with those big moments, right? A big play, a big three, a big stop, and it's like it's hard to kill him
When he does that.
when he does that. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? And he's capable of it at any given time. You know what I mean? A big stop, a big steal, a big block, a big three. Like you never know when it's gonna happen. He end up shooting 3 for 8 from three. I think either 2 for 8 or 3 for 8 from three.
3 for 8, 37.5% from three.
But he hit that big one that you know what I mean. We needed more than anything else. So I ain't even gonna kill him. Plus, we've been on for almost 2 hours, so I ain't even gonna go in my bag on him
But
like that.
let me help
Something's
let
missing.
me help you off the ledge even more. He managed 5 assists. He also had 1 block. He also had 2 steals. All very important contributions. But trust
The
me,
thing is though,
trust me.
like
I
even with
said
OG
this
this year, you
before.
could say you've seen glimpses of some areas of improvement, right? The way he's been aggressive at the rim, and like again, he's probably had the most dunks this year than I've ever seen from him in a fashion where it's him going after it, him going to get it. So that's something you could pinpoint. And OG he's not having a great superior year, but there's something that you could see that you could point at and be like, all right, he's improving in this area, and we're gonna need that from him. You know what I mean? That's what I'm missing from Mikel. Like, get to 40% from three. You know what I mean? That might be enough because the volume's there, the attempts is there. You know what I mean? But I ain't gonna kill him. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, just for the record, his season 3 point percentage is 38.2. So I mean, if you knew he was going to shoot 38% from three, you wouldn't be upset by that. I mean, I wouldn't be. 38% is valid. You know what I'm saying? He's shooting 38. Cat shooting around 40. Brunson's going to shoot around 40. You know what I mean? Like these are valid percentages. But I kind of gave up on the Bridges thing. You know what I'm saying? I kind of gave up on the Bridges thing. Like to Ohead's point, is like he's not gonna be he's not the focal point of the team, and he's not getting in his bag enough consistently enough to where he's gonna have his imprint on the game consistently like that, because he don't got the green light like he had it with the Nets. It's not him as the focal point. Seeing like Williams now, not Williams, but
From Denver.
yeah, you know,
Porter.
Porter Jr. Yeah, so like he wasn't doing what he's doing now when he was on Denver. You got Joker, you got Murray, you got other players, but now you're on Brooklyn. They ain't got nobody, so go nuts, and that's what Bridges did. So you got to kind of scale back the expectations, and I know it's probably a challenge for him, but I mean, if he's gonna play his 30 plus minutes a game, if he's gonna get average almost 2 steals a game, if he's gonna shoot 38% from three, and if he's gonna make key defensive stops and key clutch shots, when you kind of almost like at least expecting it because he's not having an impactful game, I'm kind of just reserved to that's who he's gonna be for this team. He's gonna be more of a glue guy versus more of a top tier guy.
I
And
mean, that's what got me from. That's what stopped me from killing him last year. Um, in the midst of a lot of people, killing him last year, I didn't want to dog pile and jump on it. Um, but to me, this is like one of those keys. I can't even pinpoint it, but it's one of those things that I'm looking for down the stretch, like that, like what I've seen from OG. You know what I mean? Just adding that little part of your game where you aggressive at the rim. You get within a certain amount of feet, you rising and you going up strong, blocked or not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that in particular what I'm expecting from Bridges, because no, I'm saying
that's what I
no,
would love
I'm
to
saying
see. That's
I'm
what I'm
saying
screaming at the TV all the time. Can you please get a foul, get an N1? Yo, how are you a 6'6" wing and never get an
okay,
N1?
okay, his version of that. I'm not expecting it to look like what OG's doing, but something. You know what I mean? The same way Cat has found his defensive positioning and way to impact the game defensively. The same way Brunson is seemingly finding his way to feed Cat and share the wealth. You know what I mean? And take his what's the word I'm looking, sacrifice. You know what I mean? Sacrifice in this area for the team. I'm just looking and maybe he's doing it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what it is, and his role is to be consistent and come up with the big defensive stop, shot, block, play, whatever, in any given moment. But if he could just go up one notch, I think that's one more thing that could help us
I'd
reach
love
our
that.
ultimate goal.
I'd love that it was uh doing better with on ball defense. Like like he's been like it seemed like too often people are getting past him. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, seriously.
No,
I'm
you're right.
I'm dead ass right here. Like that would be something that would be okay, cool. Nobody's getting past him. He's locking in. There's a certain level of intensity that he's bringing. If he bring it in the playoffs, all will be forgotten.
And my last thing, and then for sure we out of here. You have mentioned Sohan on ball defense and how it could help OG to double down on that. I think one of OG's, I think his strength is actually as the off ball defender more than the like he's a great on ball defender, but when he's at his peak is when he's allowed. He doesn't have to be the on ball defender, and he could be that roaming defender.
For the
And I
same
think the same can be said for Mikel. So maybe the addition of the Alvarado and the Sohar, not putting it, and Deuce was that too. I thought when Deuce was the on ball defender, it helped Mikel not have to deal with that, help OG not have to deal with that, and then they could be those roamers and strengthen things up. So again, you add a guy like Alvarado, you add a guy like Sohan, and now Mikel could play more off ball defense and kind of take more risks defensively. Same with OG. Maybe in the long run, this of them effectively as well.
I'd love to see a lineup where instead of burning Brunson all the way out, Sohan in with Towns, Bridges, and OG lineup.
I agree. I agree 100%. I agree 100%, man. Appreciate you, Shuttle, man. I had hours, but um, it was a great show, man. This is one of my favorite shows in a minute. So appreciate the chat for tuning. Jet, man. I got the wrong machine. Uh, and the right one is a little bit more expensive, but I sent that one back. And we working on it, man. We get it. We gonna get it rocking soon, man. I promise you. Before the season's out, we taking calls and moving forward, man. We gonna
Ready
do
for
some
the
things.
playoffs. ready for the
Yeah,
playoff.
for sure, for sure. Then once I get the phone lines up, I'll probably get some strength to jump on by myself a little bit more often as well. Um, but nah, I appreciate you, Shuttle, man. Always coming through for me. Shout out to Sim too, jumping in on his travels and tuning in. But most important, man, shout out to the chat, the replay gang, the supporters, the channel members. Walter White, appreciate you as well. And yeah, man. Until next time, yo, Black is time. We out of here. Peace.